In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about letting go. What is letting go? So if you were to go on Google and type, what is the meaning of letting go? You'll get plenty of definitions. And the most simple kind of definition is going to say letting go is essentially not holding on to something, letting it go. But if letting go really is that simple as the definition on Google says it is, then how come every single day so many people across the world are struggling to let go? How come every single day I get so many messages on my Instagram inbox just asking me, how can we let go? How do we let go? So the reality of it is that letting go is a difficult thing to do. No matter what I say, no matter what anyone else says on the internet, or no matter what book you're reading, it is a hard thing to actually do in practice. No matter what the theoretical aspect of it is, I can definitely sit here and tell you 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tips of how you can let go more easily, how you can be on your path to let go. But it is, as a concept, maybe theoretically it's very easy, but as a practice to be able to do it is very tough. And no matter what anyone says, to internalize it and to actually go ahead and do it is going to be something that will require you to practice it. And that's what makes it very difficult. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing about letting go with you. I'm going to just talk about what I understand letting go is, some of the ways that I think we all deal with it, and then I'm going to go on to read a poem related to letting go. So here's what I feel about letting go and my personal experience with letting go. Essentially, what I feel about letting go is that letting go is the idea of letting life take its own course. So now you're ready to flow with life and the course and the direction that it's taking, rather than resisting, rather than pulling it in a direction that you felt at some point is the right direction, or the direction that it was going in but now is not going in, but you're still trying to pull it into that direction. That's what I feel letting go is. The acceptance of, okay, I'm going to let life take its own course. I'm going to let life flow a certain way, and I'm going to accept that, and I'm also going to flow with it rather than resist it. Here's why I think that letting go is not easy. Because it takes a very long time for us to get accustomed to a certain line of thought. So when we are children, it is drilled into our minds that we can actually get anything that we want in our lives, and we are the writers of our destiny. We can debate that, and we can talk about fate, we can talk about destiny, and we can talk about how much of a role that do we actually play in writing our own destiny. But sticking to the topic of today, which is letting go, because we are drilled with this thought continuously, and we see that also just the way that the education system works, right? We are in a class of that has a few selected number of students. We work hard, we're able to see our grades go up, we are able to do better, we set ourselves certain goals, we're able to accomplish those. It's very structured. Success is very structured. The way of the definition of success is very structured. The accomplishment of those goals that we set out for ourselves is very structured. But then we come, after years and years of this kind of conditioning, we come to a point in our lives where we face situations where, even though we feel that we might be taking the right steps, even though we feel, well, we're doing all the right things, and this is how I planned it to be, this is how I thought it's going to go, it doesn't go that way. And that's when a problem arises. That's when we feel, oh, but this is how life is supposed to go. This is how it is supposed to be. And our expectations are not aligned to what course life is taking. We are having a hard time adapting. We are having a hard time adjusting, either temporarily or for an extended period of time. So let's just break it down with an example, right? So let's say that your idea of success is a beautiful, happy marriage. In order to achieve that, you need a spouse. You have defined certain traits in your mind, subconsciously, consciously, whatever. You've just defined certain traits in your mind, and you've said, okay, this is how my spouse should be. And you also are lucky enough to find that person. Now you've invested years and years and years with that person. You have nurtured that relationship. You've given the relationship all that you could have possibly. You have invested years and years of affection. You've done everything that you possibly could have, all through keeping in mind that this is going to work out and this is going to complete that image that you set out in your mind. You wrote your destiny out and the destination you had in your mind. All through, you've been thinking that you're going to reach that destination with this person. But this person wants out. This person wants nothing to do with you suddenly, or for some reason. Now there is going to be resistance because something inside of you, life is telling you, hey, I want to change my course. I want to go in a different direction now. Sorry. Something inside of you is resisting and being like, no, but I have control. I can change the direction again and I can bring it back on the same track that it was supposed to be and go on to complete that image, that successful image that I had built. Go on to reach that destination. So that's where letting go is going to start becoming tougher for you. So this is where it really begins to get very, very complicated because there's so many complex emotions tied into it. The emotions of, I have certain things in control. You start bargaining with life. You say, you know what, I can go and I can, perhaps if I do this, then will you start taking the course that I was on initially? Will you bring back and will you flow with me instead of me flowing with you? You start bargaining. You will be doing different things to latch on. You will, you'll perhaps say, if I do this, can it get back on track? Where it also gets difficult is a lot of times you'll start having this victim mindset where you will feel like, why me? You start feeling sorry for yourself. You start feeling, in the process of all this, in the process of bargaining with life, you start feeling, you also tend to lose confidence because imagine being at something, constantly trying to change the direction or the course of something to achieve an idea that you have, achieve a goal or an image that you had set out, and constantly not being able to. It's going to create self-doubt. It's going to create a lot of lack of confidence. How am I not able to achieve that? What is going on? What is wrong? So coming back to the example I gave you, in that example, now you're going to start saying to that person, well, how do I even get back with you? What can I do? Or you start chasing that person. You start begging that person because those are the only ways you feel like action-oriented ways that you feel that you can get back to that person and get life back on the track that you think is right. So getting it back on track to reach the destination that you had decided for yourself. Now, let's backtrack a little. I said that, in childhood, we are conditioned to think a certain way. We are basically told that if we want to accomplish something, we certainly can accomplish something. We can be the masters of our own destiny. We can write our own destiny, and those topics are debatable. I don't want to even get into that for this one. But going back to that, a lot of times later on in life, let's say the childhood itself. Now, this is the second example. Childhood itself was not that great. Someone had a childhood that they thought was unfair to them, right? And they feel they could have had a different kind of childhood. So now the person is sitting in a spot where they feel they could have been far ahead of, or they could have been in a different spot altogether, had something in their past been better. Had a parent been present, had a parent not been abusive, had someone else in their life not been abusive, had they had the childhood, right, that they deserve to have had. Now they're sitting at that spot thinking about their past, and they feel like somewhere in that journey of their life, they've been dealt with cards that were not fair, that were unfair, and because of that, they are behind in life, or they are not at the spot that they should be in their lives. And for them to move forward in their life from there on, it's a little bit harder because obviously your starting point itself was far different from someone else, and you had an unfair disadvantage, right, given to you. Someone else probably had a fair advantage. So that is again a situation where you are thinking, where you have your expectations and then you have your expectations of life, what it'll offer you, the things that you've charted out for yourself, and then the cards that you've been dealt. And that's another point of resistance where letting go of something gets really, really difficult. So I don't know about you, but I've drank my entire cup of coffee and I need a refill. So we've been talking about a heavy topic and I feel like we need to pause here, reflect a bit, and also get a refill. So whatever your drink of choice, go get yourself a refill. I'm going to go get myself a cup of coffee as well. So this is why I feel like letting go is such a difficult or complex rather emotion, right? It's such a difficult thing to do. And it also brings about other emotions along with it. Just as an example, we spoke about how you're constantly battling. When you're trying to let go, you're constantly battling a sense of loss. You're basically having this fight with the course of life, the course of life that life itself is taking, and you're feeling rejected. So you have that confidence issue where you feel underconfident because you're constantly losing a battle, right? Those kind of emotions start erupting too. So now I'm going to take a pause and say, I by no means am a guru or anyone who can advise you on all these things. I'm definitely not even going to say, hey, these are the 7 quick tips, and by just following these 7 quick tips, you're going to be on your way to achieving a great life. No, I'm not. I myself, if anything else, would love to know how people let go. But here's what I think personally, and this is just an opinion. I feel like when you're trying to let go and when it becomes harder is when you start losing that self-belief in yourself. When you feel like what life has decided for you, if you accept that and you say, you know what, whatever was in the past, whatever happened to me, whoever was with me and not with me, if I have that self-belief that I can make my life even better, letting go of the person now, even despite that person not being there or despite the wrong that happened in my life or how I was wrong, if I can go on, if I can have that sense of belief that I can, despite all that, go and make my life even better than the one that I had previously designed for myself before life took a different course, then that is elevating your self-belief and really trying to bring yourself to a situation where you say, okay, you know what, I've been dealt with these cards. Instead of trying to latch on to that person who now no longer loves me, or instead of latching on to that situation where I was wronged as a child, or instead of trying to latch on to things, and just trying to change the course of life or the new course of life that life is taking, why don't I have that self-belief in myself, the same self-belief, ironically, so that I had where I felt like I can be the master of my own destiny. Why don't I have that same self-belief at an elevated level and say, you know what, I'm going to flow along with the course of life that life itself is taking and make sure I have an even better life than the one I had pre-decided, where that person probably had a role or where that situation was impacting me. Okay, so we've reached that segment of the video where I'm going to be reading out a poem I've written on letting go, and I'm also going to go on and explain the poem. So here goes. There's a soft and pensive grace about her as she sits there alone. The autumn leaves have all shed, and the genesis of the new remains. The trail left behind by the boat is reminiscent of all her pains. It is all in the past, she thinks, and the future is for her to seize. The empty branches swing as they are touched by the crisp winter breeze. So this is about a woman who is looking at a river and there's a boat that goes by. It leaves a trail behind it. She's sitting in the month of autumn, so she's seeing all these leaves just fall off the trees. But then she knows that there's winter in the air. The wind is blowing. She can feel the winter in the air. The boat that just passed by, the trail that it left behind, is reminiscent of her past, and it's all in the past, she thinks. Just like how these leaves, they fall, now it's all in the past. And there's a new season that's incumbent, and after that there's going to be a new season where fresh leaves with green are going to pop up. And that is what she's talking about. She's talking about moving forward. She's talking about letting the past be in the past, let it be. But for her to forge ahead, to take that direction, that step ahead, so that she can take those steps to achieve what it is, to achieve her goals, to go on to the next chapter in her life. Just like seasons, how beautiful are these seasons that we experience? The leaves fall, new leaves come, and they're fresh. They have something so pure in them. They're reminiscent of a time, because they've obviously grown on the same branches, but at the same time they're so pure and innocent. They have a life of their own, and that's how moving forward looks like. Moving forward looks like being in a place where you can take those actions and steps and pave a path for your life which is new and fresh. So I'm going to leave you with that note, and I'm going to say, move forward, let go. It's beautiful to live for what's ahead of us. And it's easier said than done. But yeah, I know that if you reflect on these emotions, if you try to truly push forward, you'll be able to do that. Let me know what you thought of this video. I'll come back with another video very soon. Oh, and also, if you haven't subscribed to this video, do subscribe, like, share, do all those great good things, because it's definitely going to help out the channel. Bye. See ya.